Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome one and all to episode number 18 of The Adventure Continues, a Star Trek discussion, a bi-weekly Saturday night show where each and every other Saturday we take a look at one specific episode from the original series, the animated series, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and for tonight, Enterprise. And we watch and discuss it, sometimes with a special guest, sometimes not with a special guest. But we look at one particular episode, or sometimes we'll even take a look at one of the feature films like we did a few weeks ago with the director's cut of Star Trek The Motion Picture, and we watch and discuss it with all of you. Now, if you would like to watch tonight's episode, Damage, from Season 3 of Star Trek Enterprise, please click on that Cosme link that's in the top of the chat on both YouTube and Rumble, and comment in Cosme, comment in the YouTube side or the Rumble side, depending on which side you're watching from, and join us on this adventure. The whole idea of this show is to showcase different episodes from Star Trek between 1966 and 2005 and bring light to these episodes, whether they were good, whether they were bad. It really doesn't matter. It's all about highlighting these episodes and letting everybody know why we either enjoy these episodes or why these episodes have one particular issue after another. And no. This isn't episode 1, Royal. This is actually episode 19 from season 3. Because with this show, I don't go in chronological order for series or the episodes. It's going to be randomized each and every time this stream goes live, as it has been since April 26th of 2025. And our guest, DJ Ronnie G, says studio is loading. And now he's letting me know that it was trying to force me to use Chrome. Hopefully it'll work if I hammer refresh. Give it a try, DJ. If not, I'll try to send you another invite link and we'll see if that works. But in the meantime, to catch everybody up what was going on at this particular point in time in season 3 of Enterprise, at this point in time, they were really trying to give Enterprise a proper direction. The first 2 seasons dealt with the Klingons and also dealt with the mysterious Time Man from the future who was interfering with past events, and those past events would also hamper Captain Jonathan Archer and crew. But by season 3, they decided, okay, we need to go into a different direction. This time thing isn't working, so they have producer Manny Cotto take the helm of Enterprise by this point for season 3, and they start this whole arc called the Xindi arc, where you have a collection of different aliens who collectively call themselves the Xindi, and you have Archer and crew going into the Expanse after Earth is attacked. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that was you, Helion. And no, Helion. Vader will not tell Luke he is his father. And also, it's good to see the Admiral Lady Mist. Good to see you. All right. So at this point, they're starting this whole story arc, which by the end of it, Enterprise ends up going back in time. But I'm not going to spoil anymore for what happened in Enterprise in its 4th and final season. But the show received mixed reviews when it came. It came at a time when there had been the September 11th attacks, and that delayed its premiere back in 2001. Of course, this is the series that started after the end of Star Trek Voyager. Of course, Voyager promptly ending with Endgame. That was its last episode, and Enterprise would debut later on in September of 2001 with its premiere episode, Broken Bow. And in Broken Bow, just like every other Star Trek series since The Next Generation, that's when you're introduced to different characters who are going to be your recurring cast of characters for each and every episode, each and every week. Yes, it only had 4 seasons because Les Moonves, who was the head of CBS Viacom at the time, wasn't a big fan of Star Trek. He wanted to get rid of it. He tried to get rid of it after season 3, but the fans wrote in, and because of the fan write-in effort, it managed to save the show and give it 1 more season. Now, had the show gone 5 seasons, there were plans to add actor Jeffrey Combs, who was a popular recurring actor from his roles on Deep Space Nine, especially as Wayun, Brunt, and a few other characters on that series. Well, they were going to add his character Strand in the 5th season. That was their plan if they had a 5th season. And as far as how you see Enterprise in the background, well, they were going to add the secondary hull to make it look more like the ships that you see in the original series, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and so on. But that is pretty much the reason why the series only had 4 seasons, which was unfortunate because the show was actually finding its footing. And at this time, I do want to welcome in tonight's special guest as he picked this episode. So please welcome DJ Ronnie G. Welcome aboard, DJ.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Permission to come aboard?
Permission granted.
I think I moved my arm too much while you were beaming me aboard. Might have to have the chief medical officer look at that after the show.
Well, it looks like everything came together nicely in the pattern buffer, so it looks like you're all together. But yes, we should err on the side of caution, have you report to sick bay immediately for an evaluation.
I feel a little weird with my butt facing forward. You know, like in the movie Airplane.
I told Snotty to repair the transporter last night.
But I'm all set. I was clicking on an old EV Mux link.
Well, that happens. But how are you doing tonight, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. I got Reggie a uniform. Well, I got a uniform for myself, but the AI image generator kind of only got half the fabric. I think they were charging per a square foot of fabric. So I got part of Archer's uniform attached to my flight suit, as you can see here. And I got Reggie here. He's not going to say much, but he'll say one thing.
Klaatu Barada Nikto.
Thanks, Reggie.
But DJ, what was your reasoning for picking tonight's episode of Damage?
Well, you know, it's one of those episodes where I was actually looking for a particular episode that I don't even know if it's the right one, but frankly, I don't mind because, like, I like the surprise. You know, I didn't review the episode. I actually think when we do this, it's good to, like, watch it and then give our thoughts, you know, along with the episode, after the episode. And I think that watching it, like, half a week before probably takes away from that. So I was actually imagining an episode where Archer stole components from another ship. But this episode pretty much fits the bill too. So, I mean, it's just a situation where they're in a tight situation and they're going to be faced with some moral quandaries. And the pre-Federation Starfleet operates a little bit differently. And I think it's going to be fun to see how they do that.
I mean, at this point, because of the attacks that Enterprise had suffered because of the Xindi, the Enterprise has visible battle damage on its outer hull. But you also, and this is a nice change of pace for any Star Trek show because you don't see it that much. You see the interior damage to the ship.
They really did it up. Mm-hmm.
So if you're ready, brother, I'll go ahead and start playing the episode.
I am prepared.
And I hope everyone else is ready. Again, the Cosmere link is pinned to the top of the chat for anyone who wants to watch on YouTube or Rumble. And the nice thing about this is that you are getting a recap as far as what has happened in this season.
Yep. That is helpful.
And there's the previously mentioned hull damage on the exterior of Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not to say that the other series didn't have episodes where there was battle damage, but not this extensive.
Well, it's like it's such a young ship, early primordial Starfleet, and yeah, they don't quite have the same shields yet.
No, they don't have shields yet. And now Enterprise is adrift.
Oh yeah, they didn't just change
From
the
there to here. And yes, just like with the previous series that we've watched, I'm letting the intro play. Go ahead, DJ.
Yeah, no, they had to add tambourines to it. Like, does that really make a difference? Couldn't they just use the outro song? Did they really have to add tambourines?
I mean, I don't know that it really helps this theme song. Like you just said, they could have just used the end credit theme because that was perfect.
Yeah.
But I don't know, they wanted to make this series different from the other series, stand out a little more.
Have the cool kids watch it.
Mm-hmm. They wanted to show that it was Archer and crew who were the first pioneers in space for Starfleet, not Kirk and crew. But we all know who the first pioneers for Starfleet were, and that was Kirk and crew.
I mean, the song still gets a little pep in my step. I'm not gonna lie, man. Like,
Yeah,
when I hear
it does.
It does energize me a bit. So it's like we hate on it sometimes, or some people do, but like, it's not bad.
I mean, the first time I heard it, it was Rod Stewart singing it for the movie Patch Adams with Bill Murray.
Ooh. A beautiful reptilian Xindi ship.
Mm-hmm. And of course, in this episode, the special guest star is Casey Biggs. He played Damar on Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and it's good to see Anonymous. Good to see you, brother. I hope the new year is starting off well for you.
Hey, what up, Anonymous? I was wondering what that voice was. When I heard Damar talking, I was like, whose voice is that?
Mm-hmm. And Anonymous says, I love the song, but they didn't need to change it for the later season. Yeah,
Yep.
For season 3 and 4, as you heard, it was a faster beat to the song. And Anonymous says, life is good, my friends. So you can see that the Xindi aren't exactly a unified federation, if you want to put it that way.
Mm-hmm. And that's it's an interesting dichotomy because on one angle, we don't often see planets that have multiple coalitions, so to speak, multiple nations, I suppose, nation states. But this comes as close as we I think ever get in Star Trek of hashed out nation states or groups or subdivisions. In this case, you got the reptilian, you got the primate. I don't know what you call the other one, the not so hairy primate. I guess those just
The
like humanoid.
aquatics
You got the
or the
aquatics.
other
Yep,
one, and
the aquatics were kind of cool. I mean, I like the concept. Big
Yep.
aquatic ships, and even a extinct avian species, and of course the insectoids. Can't forget them.
Yep.
I actually like the insectoid by virtue of the fact that they're truly alien. Like, it's one of the first times you get to see, like, aside from 8472, a truly alien species that isn't just humans or humanoid.
Yeah, because a lot of times, I mean, you're seeing it with some of them here in this episode. You see it in this season. They look too human, but to finally get characters who actually look more alien than we've seen in the past, it's nice.
Mm-hmm. This is a giant OSHA violation.
I don't think they were too concerned about any OSHA violations with the damage to Enterprise. I don't think Trip was all that worried about it.
Yeah, the safety inspector's about 50 light years out.
Yeah. Well, think about it. If they need to get repairs, they do have to haul their ship all the way back to Earth. There aren't any available star bases that they can go to and get repaired.
Mm-hmm.
Not like in the later series. Of course, we're going to see one of the aquatics here.
It's a great aquarium.
Mm-hmm. So when an Enterprise came on after Voyager had finished its run, what were your thoughts on it, DJ?
Well, I mean, before it was even out, I had some pictures. I saw some pictures online, printed them out at the time, and just was like, it was for a little while there, beginning of the school year. It was a time of wonder. It was like, what is in store for us in Star Trek?
Mm-hmm.
And I recorded the first episode, 2 parts, Broken Bow. Watched it, was like, this is all right, but I was a little bit critical of it at the time. Mainly, it is challenging to, when the original series is as beautiful as it is, as dated as it is, it's kind of hard to like outdo that, to make it look like, how do you even approach this? So you do have to suspend disbelief a little bit. And at least one thing you say about the original Enterprise versus this one, the NX-01, is, I mean, you do see a lot of nuts and bolts. You see the support struts. I mean, when Archer is in his ready room, he's got to hunch his head down so he doesn't bump into the ceiling. So I think, like, despite things looking fresher, they did a pretty good job of making it look older. Whereas on TOS, I mean, even if that ship looks like it's from the 60s, like, it is a modern ship. I mean, to make a ship look like that, you do need a high level of technology. I mean, to make those large spacious corridors, to make it so that you get effective repairs on it, nearly any system from inside the ship. That does take, a level of technology that would have been beyond the 60s.
Mm-hmm. Well, I remember reading that Herman Zimmerman wanted to make the corridors and the sets look more like, they were on a Navy ship.
Yep. And I can see the logic. I mean, you do see a little bit of that here and there, and unless you see a lot of it, I would say yes, this definitely does evoke. I'm not an expert on Navy ships, but I've seen enough of them to kind of like see the parallels, to see like everything's got a utilitarian purpose somewhere. It's either holding the ship together or giving you some means of controlling something on the ship.
Mm-hmm. Now, one of my criticisms of Enterprise, especially when you first see Enterprise, was that it was just an Akira class starship just flipped the other way.
Yeah, the Akira prize.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they made it look more primitive than the Akira class that we first saw in First Contact, but it's like, really? You couldn't come up with a unique design? You couldn't use one of the designs that we even see in the motion picture for Enterprise?
Yeah, certainly, they did have something to draw upon, I was kind of hoping for like a dataless class ship, and one thing that Enterprise really screws up is the whole whatchamacallit continuity where does the dataless class even fit in anymore, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Something I gotta sit down and research again, but I'm pretty sure it supposedly flies before the NX-01, so it's a little confusing on how that fits into,
Yeah.
anything Federation-like, unless they just
Well-
had a bunch of hulls that they used later, but it is a little confusing on the brain.
That's what I was expecting Enterprise to look like, a dataless class.
Yeah. I mean, that's a perfect design for, like, early Starfleet. It's cheap looking, it's mass producible, it's still packed with, various bits of technology that are beyond our ability now. It's not like any, slouch, but it is a Spartan-like ship. It is utilitarian for its time. It does exploration. It does some
Mhm.
level of defensive stuff, but it is a pretty, like it's not going to have a holodeck on it. I mean, this doesn't either, but you're not going to
No.
expect much on a dataless class ship, and that's pretty much what they gave us here, but in a more stylish interior. I mean, look, that Kira is definitely a beautiful design, no doubt about it.
Yep.
Just happens to be like 200 years later.
Yeah, it really is. And Anonymous says that he was always waiting for the day when the captain said, polarize the hull, and someone replied, why? Does that actually do anything? Yeah, they still receive a lot of damage. I mean, it's evident just by that last exterior shot.
I mean, it takes the first shot, just not the second one.
Hmm.
The second one burrows right through.
Yep. And true to fashion with every Star Trek show, there's always dirt and rocks in the ceiling.
Oh, you see, that's a feature. It converts the kinetic energy in heat energy into kinetic rocks. So they have replicators in the ceiling that produce rocks, which makes the explosion less severe. Or perhaps the metallurgy is such that when plasma hits it, the metal turns into rocks.
But that's a joke among the Star Trek community, fan base, whatever you want to call it. That whenever there's an explosion, there's always going to be rocks.
It is pretty wild, though. Like, I don't know why nobody ever in production goes, hey, can we like have something else fall from the ceiling? I mean, there's got to be something you can have fall from the ceiling that isn't rocks.
I mean, every now and then they would have a support beam come from the ceiling, but most of the time it's like, okay, we have these rocks available, let's use them. That's what it seemed like anyway.
That probably is the logic. And also, I think in the low-def TV times, it made sense. Like, you couldn't really... I mean, you could kind of see the rocks, but if you weren't really paying that close attention, you could kind of let it slip by. They kind of blend between the lines and blur out, and it would look like, random debris.
Now, I will say, I always did like Connor Trinneer as Charles Trip Tucker.
Oh, yeah. He
Always thought he was good in the role.
Guy.
Yeah.
I think he does pretty good to, what do you call it, live up to the legacy of Scotty and guys like him.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks a bit like George W. Bush at the time.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I was almost thinking that you were gonna pick the episode that Dean Stockwell was in for Enterprise.
Ooh, that's not a bad one either, yeah.
I mean, one thing I did like about that episode, I know there were a few other people that liked that episode for the same reason, was that it was a reunion of Scott Bakula and Dean Stockwell from their days of Quantum Leap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all I knew is that I had to pick an Enterprise episode. Like, I was initially going to broaden my parameters, and I was like, let's stick with this here. We need more Enterprise.
Yep. Well, I mean, up to this point before tonight, we done a few episodes of the original series, a couple episodes of Next Generation. We've done an episode of, I shouldn't say a episode, we've done a couple episodes of Deep Space Nine, and we also watched and discussed Caretaker from Voyager, but we so far haven't done an episode of Enterprise before tonight, and we haven't done an episode of the animated series.
Ooh, that's a good one to do soon. Yeah.
Which I do believe that with the animated series, because those episodes are at most 22 minutes long, I think if and when, well, I shouldn't say if, when we do an episode of the animated series, it'll probably be 2 episodes of the animated series. Just because of how short those episodes are. And there's Casey Biggs.
Yep. And he's asking him the $1 million question right now. He's like, "You want to? Can we get your warp coil?" Ooh. I mean, you think Archer could maybe say, "Hey, you know what? Give us your comm signal. We'll send another ship." I don't know if Starfleet has another ship to send, but that would be the right thing to do.
I mean, the only ship I would think they'd be able to send would possibly be one of their light cruisers, but Columbia wasn't fully ready yet.
Mm-hmm.
And Anonymous says you should get Jill on for the animated series. Yeah, I really do owe it to her to come back, because when she was on, when we were talking about Caretaker, my mic was just all sorts of messed up.
Mm-hmm. Ooh la la. Man, that is I don't know whose dream that is, but I sure hope it's Trip's dream. I don't think it is, though.
I think it's T'Pol's. She's experiencing Pon Far.
Well, I sure hope he gets to get a telepathic flash of that one. Oh, shoot. Oh, my God.
And we'll find out what's happening to T'Pol.
Oh, yeah. Do we know? I mean, I know what's going on, but do we know yet, or they didn't quite reveal that yet?
They haven't quite revealed it yet. It is revealed in this episode, though.
Good. Okay, good. Yeah, but I did skim through the scenes, and I saw the scene that's about to come up now. That's another reason why I didn't change my mind when I was trying to figure out what episode I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it just reminded me of the episode. What was it? The symbiosis. Just that one scene when David and the other guy, David, from Star Trek 2, get their medicine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that Next Generation episode.
Yep, we need our medicine. We need our medicine. Ah. That's what it was like. So I see she's put on an EVA suit to go into a depressurized compartment. Looks like the either a cargo bay. It looks like a cargo bay. Although I'm pretty sure that's a repurposed shuttle bay.
I was gonna say it's got to be the repurposed shuttle bay, cargo bay set that's been used since Next Generation.
Oh, they've been doing it for that long. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, think about it, DJ. They redressed sets. You look at the bridge of Enterprise NX-01, you see parts that remind you of the Defiant.
Mm-hmm. Ow. That's how Worf got hurt.
Anonymous, we're not worried about spoilers for this show. We give away spoilers.
Yeah, man.
But we also showcase the episode in Cosby so people can watch if they want to watch.
Will Vader tell Luke who's his daddy?
Mm-hmm. And of course, all these pieces of cargo, we've seen them all through Next Generation and the other shows. It's like, okay, we've got all this quote unquote cargo containers. Just set them up here.
Yep.
Just put different labels on them and
exactly. I'm sure some of these cargo containers come straight from Voyager's cargo bay.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just saw some emergency thruster propellant from the Enterprise D in the corner. Ah, yeah, them
I
crack
mean,
rocks.
well, think about it. In the episode of Enterprise where they encounter the Borg, you actually see the saucer section of the Enterprise E used as background debris.
Oh, wow, that's cool. That's the stuff. I mean, like, she's doing everything, like, the whole junkie routine. She's like, can't get that into the injector quick enough.
Yep, she's got an addiction. Like I said, don't worry about it.
Ah.
How's the Cosby side holding up for everybody?
Pretty good for me.
Okay. Just want to be sure. Because, sometimes we have issues with Cosby.
Yeah, I'm having a surprise. Initially, I had a little chop in the beginning, but no, it's like playing as smooth as ever, if not better.
Yeah.
Like, and the quality's pretty good too. Like, it looks pretty. What is this? A DVD, Blu-ray?
I got it off of Amazon and I'm showcasing it in Cosby at 1080p.
Cool. Well, it looks like it. Yeah, that does look better than DVD. Or like, sometimes I've seen DVDs where like they upscale a little more sketchily.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm thinking about a heist.
Mm-hmm. Archer's thinking of something to do, and it's not something he's going to be proud of.
He should have paid the extra for the collision. For the
He
insurance.
should have gotten the full insurance.
Yeah. I wonder if anybody's calling about his Starship's extended warranty.
I don't know, but it's going to be a hell of a time to buff out all the dents and holes in Enterprise.
Maybe he's got a safe light repair.
Maybe. Anonymous says, if you need a movie or a TV show, let me know. I may have it.
Oh, I
You can download it off my Google Drive. Okay.
I'm watching the
Appreciate
vertical
that.
stream on YouTube. I got to open up the other chat, I guess. That's how this works, huh? All right,
Well,
there we go. Now
the
I got
feature
both
that they
chats.
have now for YouTube is they allow you to do vertical and horizontal streams, but you also have to set it up in StreamYard in order to do that.
Yep.
Now, platforms like Rumble that can only do the horizontal portion, I just keep it at horizontal.
There we go. Now I can see anonymous chats. Okay, I got both you and Lady Mist up on my screen now. And then I was got Royal PITA. Wonder what that means. I'm kidding. I know what that
It's Helion.
means.
I met her over on Rumble when I was over at Pat Stevens' channel, and
Oh, nice to meet you, Eliana.
yes, she's good people.
So the name is a lie. Helion is not a Royal PITA.
Oh, over on YouTube, maybe. I mean, I could have gone by a different name on Rumble, but I thought, no, I want to keep it consistent. Regardless of where I stream, I'm Pacific 4 and 4.
Oh boy. Yes, this is the episode, Mike. This is definitely the episode I picked. I remember I was like, I don't know if it's this episode. It's this episode.
Well,
boy.
when you were describing the episode, too, I started going through, okay, I'm trying to remember every episode of Enterprise because, admittedly, I haven't watched Enterprise like I've watched Deep Space Nine, Next Generation, and the original series.
Mm-hmm. Well, you had better memory recall than Grok.
Well, that's what happens when X is an updated database. And
yeah. I'm going back and forth with this thing. I'm like, nope, that's not the episode. I'm like nerding out, Grok, oh, it's this episode. I'm like, no, it's not that episode. That episode is when da-da-da-da-da happens. I'm describing an episode where this happens.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like I said in previous episodes of the show, where there are 735 episodes when you count everything from the original series all the way to Enterprise. So, there are going to be times where things, just become a jumbled mess because you're trying to think, did that happen in this series, in this episode, or was it this series in that episode?
Mm-hmm.
Or am I thinking about something that never occurred in any particular series?
Well, I don't know if there's ever been another Star Trek episode where they, planned to conduct a heist of a warp coil from a friendly ship or moderately, a random ship in the middle of nowhere. I mean, I might be, maybe I'm missing something, but
no, because even on Voyager, they would take some of the transwarp conduits, but the coils to get transwarp speed, but they never actually went aboard a disabled ship and then stole, a piece of their technology so they can get going.
Yep. This lady always got me. She's like a bit of a founder character,
Mm-hmm.
He was in the game Star Trek Borg, the man right there in the red.
Yeah, he was. And that's the thing, too. You do see a lot of familiar faces return to either the same series or a different series, but they may not necessarily be playing the same character that they were before.
Mm-hmm.
But that's part of being an actor.
Well, that's the prosthetics right there. I mean, you could do different things when you wear prosthetics.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Lanier, luckily, he was like, he didn't want to do Star Trek with prosthetics. What's his name? Mooney? What the hell? I can't remember his name now. Guy Lanier, you know who Lanier is. David Mooney? No. You know what I'm talking about? The guy who played Lanier on Babylon 5?
I'm trying to think. I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, I can't.
I'm like you. It's in there. I can't get it out.
I'm looking this up. Bill Mummy.
Bill Mummy.
Yep. And Bill Mummy, he was like, he was willing to do a role on Star Trek. He wanted to do one, but he's like, yo, I'm tired. I've been wearing this freaking prosthetics for 5 years. I'm really not trying to wear it again. And they were like, hey, we got one for you as a Starfleet guy. He's like, oh, yeah?
Yeah, I know he was a friend of one of the actors on Deep Space Nine. And apparently when they filmed AR, I always get the numbers mixed up.
551, 559, I think.
551 or 559, 558.
Yeah, it could be.
When they were filming a scene and Bill Mummy's character is killed, that actor went up to him and said, well, it looks like we won between, the war between Babylon 5 and Deep Space Nine. And or maybe it was Ira Stephen Bear who knew him. I don't know. Let me look that up.
Well, a Vulcan just told him that we gotta be human.
Mm-hmm. Instead of Vulcan.
Oh shit! She just used her superhuman strength.
Yeah, the strength of a Vulcan.
Yeah, it's like shoot. If that's what happens when you don't meditate, we will make sure there's time in your schedule.
Mhm.
If you don't have, if this is what happens when you don't meditate, we'll make sure there's time in your schedule. He's like, T'Pol didn't meditate. Oh, that's her excuse right now. That's what she's claiming.
I mean, any Vulcan, they don't meditate. That's what's going to happen. You're going to end up like that pad.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy. Yeah.
And now we start finding out more information. Of course, that ship that she mentioned, that was a ship full of zombie Vulcans.
I gotta hand it to them. I know people get tired of the zombie trope, but this is way before Walking Dead, and Enterprise did it.
Yeah, they did it well. Anonymous says it just started out as platinum. It was fun, but that led to cobalt, and then trillium. It got out of hand. Yeah, her trillium addiction got out of hand. Did you have a particular character that you enjoyed on this series, DJ?
Well, you mentioned you mentioned Trip before. I mean, he's always a good time. I mean, he's got the wisecracks, he's got the engineering skill. But I also liked Reed. I appreciated Reed because he was a real tactical guy. Like he looked like the kind of guy you could trust behind a rifle. Like he looked like he knew how to sight and zero his scopes. I mean, you practically see the guy doing that stuff, and I feel like he gets his hands dirty. Compared to because Enterprise, it's a bit more of a tactile experience. The way that when you see that launch bay, that torpedo launcher room, the armory. I mean, it literally has an armory. Worf doesn't have an armory. I mean, I know the ship has an armory somewhere, but you actually see this guy in the armory, and they got big ass torpedoes in there. And I know it's mostly set dressing and stuff, but just like the fact that it's a bit closer to our time in the timeline, so to speak. I think we get a few more relatable characters. You're not sitting there going, "Do these guys really believe in their space communism?" It's like they're not there yet.
No. Again, this is early Starfleet. They're not bound by the rules of the Federation.
I like what they did with Ho Chi's character. Like
Hmm.
the idea of someone who's a linguist being the communications officer, that makes a lot of sense. Even if people criticize the new Star Trek movie in '09 for doing that with Uhura, I mean, it kind of makes sense that they would be a linguist,
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense that there would be linguists who study the alien languages of the species that have been encountered, not just by
Hmm.
Starfleet, but by other races.
And even as a universal translator, I mean, Hoji practically programs the damn thing. I mean, yeah, she's using it as a tool, but she's also updating it. And probably what she did early on is what, built the later versions of the translators, made it better. But seeing what we're seeing with AI today, I think we're going to see that the universal translator is not as far-fetched as it looks, even though like it does sound far-fetched. Like, how does it just hear a bunch of mumbo jumbo and turn it into comprehensible language? And it's like, well, we're doing this with whale songs right now, or not we personally, but you know, people who had the bright idea to do some research, putting microphones in the bottom of the ocean, record whale songs, record tracking data from their tracking devices, and figure out like what is a whale doing when it's saying these things, and can
Hmm.
we correlate patterns? And AI is really good at that. AI is able to take large data sets, it's almost like brute forcing things, but it can it's designed to do that. It's designed to take a lot of irrelevant data and weed out the relevant data and find patterns in it. And I think it's pretty cool that we might actually get a universal translator because of that.
Hmm. And Anonymous says T'Pol is sure fun to look at, but Trip is a good character.
Yes,
Gotta
sir.
go with anyone that likes catfish. Yeah,
Catfish.
I like catfish myself. Catfish and
Oh,
hush puppies.
mmm. Hush puppies are good. I'm honestly not sure if she should really be on the bridge right now, but I mean, I guess as long as she's got a few days before shit goes bad for her, it's okay.
Hmm.
Damn, that's a big space heater.
Yep. And what was nice about especially season 3 and 4 of Enterprise is that you have different divisions of Starfleet because you're seeing the Mako officers.
Oh, yeah. That was an interesting angle there. And it's like,
Hmm.
at the end of the day, you need someone like I generally look at the Starfleet security officers as a multi-purpose group. Like they can do all of it. But I think closer to our part of the timeline, it makes sense to see a dedicated unit that specifically does these things. That,
Hmm.
extends force, so to speak.
Yeah, it makes sense that you have your naval officers, but you also have your Marines.
Yup, exactly. And that's the thing. They are a detachment of Marines. Yep.
Well, first time I met you, Anonymous, was talking about Deep Space Nine. That perked your ears.
They got a lady Marine?
And Enterprise can't take much more of this.
Well, at least there's the two guys who don't have to take a shuttle pod back.
Hmm.
Beam? You're lucky if that thing works after the next shot.
Yeah.
He's got a point. That's rough. This is why he did.
Mm-hmm.
He did tell the guy why. I mean, like he knows why we're doing this. He says we gotta save Earth.
Yeah. It's a race against time.
Yeah, I mean, Archer was pretty clear about that part. I mean, I get it. It's like the writers have to include that, but it's like he knows why. I'm not saying it's right. I mean, the question might be, why are you bending your moral convictions? But that would be a bit too wordy,
Yeah. So you got to shorten it up and get it straight to the point. And
Yep. I don't care if this guy's a certified psychologist. I'm going to him. I want his soothing voice to, give me psychological advice.
Yeah, Lux knows a lot. He's seen a lot. And of course, he has multiple wives.
Oh, yeah. So he's got the patience of a saint. I'm sorry.
No, don't worry about it.
Maybe on his planet it's different.
Well, it is different for the Nobelins, having multiple wives, multiple husbands, and
Yeah, to them, family's a big freaking deal.
yep.
Anonymous Phlox is a player.
But you could say that too.
Now, I'm not going to lie. I don't understand why this is a warp coil, and the warp coil is located in the warp nacelles. Do they have two types of warp coils?
See, that's what was confusing me. I, like you, thought the warp coils were part of the plasma injectors in the nacelles.
Mm-hmm. I figured maybe they rip the space heater apart, and then they use that to, repair the gaps in the. I mean, the warp coils come in like a strip, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe if you have a few broken ones in there and you can't work it, you could fill in the empty spaces or the broken ones with replacement parts. Whew.
And that's it for damage.
So okay, one key takeaway I got out of it. I mean, of course, I guess I'll let you kick it off. I shouldn't just throw my thoughts out. It's your
No,
show.
you're the guest. You're the guest. You're the guest.
And there's two DJ Ronnie G's in the theater, apparently. Oh, yes, because I wanted to have the chat window open. And the video on full screen. But, right off the bat, I mean, one thing I didn't remember from the first or last time I watched the episode is, it's true. Archer did leave a bunch of Trillium behind. Because, they're going to be out there for years, assuming that nobody comes and gets them, which I still find a little, maybe it's hard to get in that mindset, that pre-Federation mindset when, you can call a ship and there's going to be something or someone somewhere nearby, unless the plot demands that there isn't. You're the only ship in the sector. But, yeah, he left some Trillium, which in that part of space you need Trillium. So, okay, they got that. They are stuck for some years, but I'd like to think that, the mission got completed way before that trip had to be completed. So, assuming those people don't get mugged or hijacked or otherwise, I would hope that, Starfleet looks at the log and goes, hey, you left the ship 6 months ago stranded for 3 years in this area here. Maybe we should check on them.
Yeah, send a ship out, follow their last course, catch up with them at warp, and say, you know what? We've got something for you. We got a new warp coil, so now you can get home. Yeah, the aliens would still be pissed off, understandably.
It'd definitely be a job for the diplomatic department.
Mm-hmm.
I think Admiral Forrester would be basically would get the diplomatic people on it, send some engineers over with some help or whatever, with some, parts and what have you. But at that point, this is where diplomacy kind of helps, because you can basically have the diplomat say, look, it wasn't our idea. He acted on his own or something like that, then kind of play that diplomatic game where it was like, oh, we didn't order him to do that. Now, of course, I don't think we're going to court-martial Archer over it.
No. but they could say he acted outside the authority of Starfleet.
Exactly. That's the trick, is to balance the reputation. I mean, it does tarnish. I mean, that's the thing. It's a prickly situation. It's like Now he's like, giving Starfleet a bad name. Luckily, there's so many ships far and few between that, so far and few between that. Maybe the word won't get out that far, but Anonymous has stated they will probably demand punishment. Yeah, I mean, I mean, the other, planet, the other species, their leadership, and probably the captain who'd be particularly salty about this. Yeah, he's gonna want to at least demand punishment. He might not get it. But he's gonna demand it.
Yeah.
They may want their pound of flesh.
Yeah. Again, it's understandable. Archer attacked them, stole their warp coil, and installed it on Enterprise. Even though we can understand Archer's plight, he still attacked an unprovoked alien species.
Mm-hmm. And then, we get like
he was the aggressor.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the thing. Like that's why I picked this episode. I was like, this is one episode where the good guys, quote unquote, are the aggressors. I mean, like it's I guess we're doing the thing that we need to do in the circumstances that we're in, but it doesn't take away from that reality. And how many times has someone else done something to a Starfleet ship or someone that was one of our allies, and we were like, this is wrong, or, whatever. It's like they did something naughty. We made a thing of it. We dealt with it. We probably had more power at the time. At this point, it's like, luckily, I mean, that doesn't look like a big spacefaring civilization. I mean, Warp 3.2, that tells us they're not necessarily that high on the totem pole compared to humanity. So they're not likely to send an invasion fleet over this matter.
No, and who's to say they even have a large fleet that they could spare?
Mm-hmm.
And you're welcome, Lady Miss. I appreciated everybody who was able to watch, listen, and lurk during tonight's show.
Yeah, that episode went by fast, man. Let me tell you.
Yeah, it did.
Also, the way it ended, I was kind of... I don't remember it ending like that. Like, I didn't realize like the freaking climax of the episode would be like... If you called it the climax of the episode, I didn't think that it would like be right there, right? And when I saw Brandon Braga's name, I'm like, oh, wow, it's already over?
But, that's the thing that I've really enjoyed since starting The Adventure Continues is you realize how quickly a lot of episodes did go by because they didn't waste a lot of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of, like, wasted time in this episode. The subplot with T'Pol and her, her addiction, that, we just got the beginning of that. I mean, it's been kind of brewing, but, like, she still has to go through withdrawal symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be, quite the journey for her, no doubt about it, especially as a Vulcan, someone who's a race that is accustomed to, and a race that's accustomed to having, even from the acting perspective, which that's a whole other thing. Like, I don't know if you ever heard this, but I was reading some interviews from a while ago, and if I read correctly, one of Jolene Blaylock's, I guess, grievances or, points of criticism was that, she's trying to, like, do the Vulcan thing. She knows Vulcans, apparently, or she knows enough about Star Trek to know what a Vulcan should be.
She was a big fan of the original series, big fan of Leonard Nimoy.
Oh, well, there we go. So then she damn well knows how she's supposed to behave as a Vulcan. And then you got the team telling her, we want you to be a little emotional. We want you to do a little more of this. And it's like basically telling her, yes, we want you to break from the Vulcan tradition a little bit. And I mean, of course, nobody's obligated to do everything the same way every time, but I think she wanted to be a real Vulcan. She really wanted to be one. And so that's one thing I learned is that first time I rewatched Enterprise was years after I saw Enterprise. It might have been 2010, might have been, no, it probably was much later than 2010, but it was like, probably around 2014-ish, I saw Enterprise, and I think I saw it one other time after that, but like, I used to not appreciate those early season episodes. I used to, see season one as this slow, boring drag because, it's like you expect things to go a bit faster in Star Trek, and suddenly we have this ship that doesn't even do Warp 5 most of the time. Like, yeah, it's a Warp 5 engine, but that's more like the one time they use Warp 5 and a couple of times, maybe even a handful of times, but you can count it on one hand how many times they are deliberately flying at Warp 5. And I do remember like one episode, they're barely at Warp 4.8 and the ship's already struggling.
Already suffering damage,
Mm-hmm.
Whole fractures. And Tommy, good to see you, brother.
What's up, Tommy? And the Guinea Pig Collective. But yeah, I mean, exactly. They got like EPS things blowing up. They got all of this wild stuff, and it's like then they get to warp 5, and other ship is still gaining. It's like, oh shoot, we got to go faster. Is you right? Warp 5.2.
And unfortunately, Enterprise can only go so fast beyond warp 5. It really couldn't go much past warp 5.1, 5.2, like you mentioned.
Yep.
But if you have these ships that can approach warp 6 or warp 7, well, Enterprise is done for.
Yeah, I think it'll blow itself up trying to go warp 6. And it is technically. I remember, Archer was like, it is a warp 5 engine. It's like, geez, man, all right, it is a warp 5 engine. We'll try harder. But also, it shows like it takes a good engineering team to get these things working a certain way, and this is even in real ships where like there's some. I've seen some books where old naval people, whether the captain or whoever's in charge of the ship at that moment, the commander, they do things that really require like coordination on the part of the engineering team. I think during World War II, they had these competitions where they would see what ship can use the least water in the boiler, and they would have like a way of kind of like signifying that, our engineering department's the best in the fleet, or on the particular ship, this team saved the most water. At some point, they kind of curtailed that a little bit because they realized that, people like taking showers and that, quality of life, standard of living kind of go hand in hand on a well-oiled crew. But at the same time, it's like when you're running a steam boiler or a gas turbine or using coal or fuel oil, bunker oil to boil up water to run something like that, you can only produce so much distilled water. And any boat, one thing I learned about boats from a friend who has a smaller boat, like he's got an 18-foot boat or something like that, maybe a little longer, maybe 22-foot, I don't know, but was that the fuel economy goes to hell when like you try to go fast. So it's like you got the leisurely cruising speed, but the minute you're really pushing that turbine, that thing guzzles fuel like no tomorrow. And on any type of starship, you need to coordinate a lot of those things. So I'm sure most of the time priority is like making efficient use of that drive plasma or that antimatter or whatever it is that you're putting in that warp engine to get your reaction.
Well, remember at this time, just like the original series, it wasn't a warp core; it was a warp reactor.
Ah, yeah, good point. I don't even know if they're using dilithium in this thing yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, okay, so it's like whatever, deuterium or something like that, and anti-deuterium perhaps, yeah.
Yeah. And Tommy says, I have rewatched the Enterprise series more than any other. Love the way it tries to tie up loose ends between the original series and Next Generation. Yeah, they did try. And in some cases, they succeeded. And in other cases, it's like, I don't quite buy it.
That's an interesting one. I gotta get a list of those examples because I can only think of the last episode right now, and I don't think Tommy's specifically referring to that. I mean, he might be.
Well, I can think of an episode in season 2. The name of it's escaping me right now, but Archer and crew find this space station, this derelict space station.
Oh yeah.
And they dock with it. It starts repairing the hull of the ship and the interior of the ship. And the crew goes aboard, and that's an episode where Trip orders a catfish dinner, and it replicates it.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, sure. That ship was bristling with technology that you would have been familiar with, or that station was bristling with technology that was a lot more at home later in Star Trek as far as Starfleet vessels go. And, that was a fun episode, too. I mean, just like, he shows up, he's got his warp drive plasma, but now they're trying to play the game to get their people out from the neural net because apparently that ship is the Matrix.
Well, also another thing about that particular episode is that the computer voice is that of Roxanne Dawson, who is B'Elanna Torres, but she also directed that episode.
Ah, that's pretty cool, too. And, yeah, overall, directorially, like the directors, I mean, the fact that they have like this... these people who were on Star Trek, they had a lot of Jonathan Frakes. They had a bit of, at least as much or about as much. They had, I don't know how many times any one of them directed, but, we had some LeVar Burton directing on here.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, at least they know what Star Trek is supposed to look like. Yeah. Wish they would have them.
Having acted on it, and it it was probably beneficial to the cast of Enterprise to have someone who was on a previous series to say, okay, so when you're doing this kind of scene, you got to do it like this. Show them the ropes. And
and
Tommy, also mentions how Enterprise tried to explain why the Klingons look different in the original series compared to the motion picture and onward. And
a great example. No, I mean that's exactly the type of example. When I was saying like I can't remember any episodes, that is a great example. And I know some people would take, they prefer that it stayed mysterious, but I don't think it went too bad of a direction. Sure, it's like you could say they're trying to shoehorn Dr. Soong as a geneticist, but even that was like at the end of that episode, like I think I'm gonna get into cybernetics. It's like okay, that's a cute little nod to the future there. But it works.
Well,
okay, there's a disease.
Laid the groundwork for the
Mhm.
creation of data and lore. And
Oh yeah, and it's like I guess like I don't even know if Soong was that ill intentioned, but creating genetic augments, we know what happened with Khan, and so we knew where that was gonna go.
Yeah, and we definitely see where that goes in Space Seed and also the Wrath of Khan. But Enterprise does deserve a lot of credit, for trying to do things its own way, but also still trying to stay true to what came before as best it could.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one of my favorite episodes of Enterprise is the two-parter In the Mirror Darkly.
Oh my god, that was great.
Yeah.
Like the opening of that, like just the opening of it, like when you don't see it coming and you're watching all this shit happen, it's like the rise of fascism, and then you got the freaking like Empire landing on the moon, the Terran Empire, and then you got the freaking like Delta, the warp Delta, which looks like a bit like the NX, but it's got like a Delta shaped primary hull. It's got some what look like impulse engines on the back that line the entire back of that hull because the scale is completely different. And it's like freaking firing upon a moon base. It's like, oh my god, it's just hilarious, man. And it's like, so it's like basically they did such a clever job, a beautiful job on that. Like, they didn't leave, they didn't take any prisoners for that one.
No, it was supposed to be Star Trek if it was in an alternate universe.
And they really did it. Like, I mean, like they include it in the opening there. Like that's like watching the original series if they had the money to like change the model. I mean, luckily that's one good thing about computer generated imagery is that it is a lot more feasible to re-update some of your VFX shots. If you still have the files, you can say, okay, we'll add a texture to this and we'll re-render it. I mean, it's not a cakewalk. Even back in 04, 03, it would have been like a bit computationally intensive. I know for Star Trek Voyager, they had these computers with a architecture, a CPU called the DEC Alpha, Digital Equipment Corporation Alpha. It was a very particular 64-bit CPU of the 90s. And they do their 3D modeling, and those computers would just be chewing on it all night. And apparently, rendering the bubble around the shields was actually a bit computationally intensive. And so on DS9, when you see the battles where you don't see the bubble, that's why.
And well, that's understandable if it took a lot of processing power to generate it. And
it still works. I mean, the battle is still good, and you can come up with any excuse you want. You can say, oh, it's a different type of shield. Maybe they're using tighter shields that are better for Cardassian weapons or something like that. Or, frankly, I've never seen a Cardassian Galor ship have a shield bubble. Maybe on Next Generation, but I can't really recall right now. So we had a lot of Cardassian ships. We had a lot of Jem'Hadar ships. So, it works out.
Remember about the Dominion ships, they don't have shields.
Oh my god, they're just like the Imperials of Star Wars. Well, not just like, but, basically it's like, yes, those people swore their lives to the founders. They have no issue, dying gloriously in battle. It's just kind of like their thing.
Oh, their slogan, obedience brings victory, and victory is life.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So I mean that keeps them on task right there, and they're not holding any punches. They take that order. They ram the Odyssey. It's like we didn't need to ram the Odyssey. We just want to send you guys a message. We are not taking prisoners.
No, we're not messing around here. This is as far as we're willing to go, if not further.
Exactly. Now the whole subplot, that one I'm curious to see. Like, I get, sometimes if I watch an episode, I might recap a little bit. I might watch the next episode on my own time just to see where it goes. Because at this point, this episode was a cliffhanger, dude. Like, I mean, not a cliffhanger, but like they steal the warp coil, they get it working. Okay, so yeah, you get your resolution, and then they're like, all right, end of episode. It's like, okay, so what next? Like, I don't remember if they ever mention it again. I would like to think they do, but I don't recall any lines where they go.
They head all the way back to Earth by the end of the season. I'm not gonna say what else happens before them, but they do head all the way back to Earth, and things do occur. But
Yep. I think I remember the giant ball. Yep.
And in season 4, it takes place during World War II.
Oh yeah. Oh
In
my
the
God,
opening.
that was cool. Yeah, and see, that was like also a little weird, but that was a lot of fun. I mean, like once again, like I mean, you got your time travel plot. It kind of makes sense. It's plausible. Even like the technology situation. Like when they show you like the German guy shooting the weird plasma bazooka at a tank. And the German guy's like, yeah, it's a great weapon, but, the batteries suck. It's like basically they're still trying to use lead acid batteries to power some alien technology. And it's like, that's actually a pretty common thread with like technology of that era where like, there's certain things you have to keep running. Your radio, for example. Okay, you bring your generator, to charge your battery, or you get the hand crank radio. But that would have definitely been an issue for the Germans where like they could build a lot of cool things, but they couldn't really sustain anything in mass, not to mention that the guy in charge of that country at the time was not really the best strategist, as it turns out. I know harsh criticisms of the guy in charge of that country, but he was all over the place. Like, and Gundam, they go off topic a little bit. In the original Mobile Suit Gundam, they kind of show that when Zeon fields a bunch of unique units called mobile armor, which are like basically bigger than mobile suits. They're basically like spaceships with weapons and armor and all of this stuff, and better reactors, better beam weapons built into the actual ship instead of like a handheld beam rifle. It's like a big ass emitter basically. And these things are all unique, like craft, meaning that maintaining them, you need different parts. You're not necessarily using interchangeable parts. If like Xeon simply like said, let's not build so many of these overpriced mobile armor and build more of these mobile suits that have shared part commonality, they'd have a much easier time maintaining this stuff. They'd have a easier time training people to use them. They'd waste a lot less resources when something gets blown up because, you build a small fighter equivalent, that gets blown up. Okay, it's one fighter. You build something that costs the equivalent of 20 fighters to build. That's a lot of resources getting sunken in. So, I see the same thing with like the Germans of that era in the war, and they were still faced with resource constraints, although by that point they had the advantage. They were able to take the U.S., but that just meant they shoot off even more. And of course, with the Enterprise coming in, that kind of sealed their fate, I think, because, having a proper starship to blow up your factories in Brooklyn. And yeah, they attacked Brooklyn. The Enterprise attacked Brooklyn. I don't know if I should be offended or not. But jokes aside, no, it was a good
Brooklyn
time.
Of an alternate timeline.
Yeah, and my grandpa would have been in the Pacific at that time anyway. And I do. Hey, what up? You're wrong. Good to see you, Shane.
Good to see you, Shane. Hope you're doing well. Happy New Year to you, brother.
But I do feel like there's something else there with the T'Pol subplot. Because, like, I mean, maybe there's not, but like I know, like, when I picked this episode, I was like, definitely like looking forward to just the whole like, why are you doing this to us? Why did you jack our parts from the ship? You're gonna leave us hanging. Archer literally leaves a guy adrift, or at least in sublight, with sublight engines for at least 3 years of traveling time in a potentially hostile area. And that said, maybe the guy was a bit too salty considering like the stakes. He knew the stakes for Archer. That wasn't a secret. Archer made it clear. But definitely like he could have left him hanging without the Trillium. And apparently the Trillium makes a big difference for them being able to survive that long journey. Assuming they got food, the only other thing that they really need is Trillium. assuming and maybe like a cloaking device because I'd feel a little
Well,
more comfortable with a cloaking device. But assuming that
also
nobody,
for Trillium for that ship, that could help power that ship for their long journey.
that could be used as a power source too.
Well, in the Star Trek universe, they can pretty much make anything a power source.
Yep. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, if you could convert energy, matter, and energy back and forth. Yep. So beyond that, like I said, like T'Pol, the actress Jolene Blaylock, she may have had some consternation about having to play an emotional Vulcan. That wasn't really her choice. So anybody who judges her over it, I would say, be easy on her. It wasn't her choice. She's following orders. She's following the director's instructions, so to speak. And
the directors, the producers,
mm-hmm.
that's what our bosses are telling her. So she's just going by what the script says and what the higher ups are telling her.
And I mean, all things considered, I think she did all right. Like, I wouldn't hold it against her, knowing in retrospect that it wasn't like her choosing to play a Vulcan in a more emotional way. Now, it does add some oddities to the show. I mean, it's like whole like love plot. I still get confused. Like, that's one thing they could have maybe like wrapped up in the last episode better instead of giving us a holodeck episode. So do they get married? Do they date? Do they decide to just be friends? Does she go back to Vulcan and marry Cybok? I'm making up names now, but I mean, that's a real name, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, with These Are the Voyages, the final episode of Enterprise being essentially a holodeck episode, you wonder how many inaccuracies are in that, particular program. And, and I still have a gripe with the way they killed off Trip. I do.
Oh, yeah. Dude, that was wild. I mean, like, trying to remember, was it like, 'cause I remember there was an episode where they had to like make a clone and then harvest an organ from the clone. But that's not what happened. This one, he was saving the ship, basically.
Yeah, I know at some point in These Are the Voyages, we find out that T'Pol and Trip aren't together, but I don't think we ever really find out why they split up.
Okay, well that's something. That's closure. I mean, at least that tells us they did mention it. They didn't ignore it. So I'll take it. I'll take that as a I'll give him points where it counts. Gene Roddenberry is pretty good at ignoring actors when it came to character change requests. He had a vision for his universe. Says Shane. Shane said that.
Yeah, Dean was stubborn when it came to how Star Trek was going to be. Anonymous says, we all do. They know they screwed up, and I give them credit for the acknowledgement. Yeah. Berman's been on record for saying if he could go back and redo the last episode of Enterprise, he would. But they were in a time crunch. They were told that they were canceled. They were given permission to wrap up the show, surprisingly. So they tried to do it the best way they could by encompassing 18 years of Star Trek since 1987, since Next Generation. I mean, think about it. For 18 years, we had Star Trek on television. And then after May of 2005, we had to wait for the first reboot movie in 2009 to get anything Star Trek. And it was 2017 when we actually got a series again.
Yeah. Is that, and I wouldn't call it a series, but
no. That's why it's not covered on this particular live stream.
Yeah, I dig it, man. I'm so glad that we don't have to sit through new Trek on The Journey Continues. The mission, the journey, right? Yeah, I should know the name of the show. I'm on it right now. Adventure Continues. I'm sorry, I had to remember. I didn't look it up.
It's all right. It's all right. I'm not going to hold that against you. Now, if Baron was here, he would hold it against you, but I'm not going to hold it against you. Baron would probably say I'm being too nice to you right now.
Well, adventure, journey, similar enough. And that's interesting. Let's see here. Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah, they were. I mean, introducing the first phasers, the first photon torpedoes, although they called them photonic torpedoes. It's like, come on, we all know they're photon torpedoes.
They're shaped like photon torpedoes. Like they have that exact shape. They might have even used the same prop.
They use the same prop that's been used since Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
At least they didn't jump ahead to quantum torpedoes, huh?
Yeah. I mean, throughout the series, there were some issues that people had. It's like the introduction to the Ferengi in Enterprise when we had encountered the Ferengi at the last outpost in Next Generation. So it's like that kind of messed up the canon as we knew it back then. And Shane says it was fun seeing Archer and crew give origin to so much procedure that would become standard to every ship. Yeah, again, the red alert klaxon, there's an episode where they're going through that going, no, we don't like this sound. It's got to be a sound that brings people to their attention going, it's battle station time.
I still think we should have called it the read alert.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate the playfulness. Like they definitely like that's one way where they were catering to the viewers, like freaking like making jokes now. Oh, we can call it the read alert. It's like, of course, nobody's gonna stick with that one, but like, it's like if only.
Yeah, I mean, of course. Then people will say, well, then why is it in the original series they call it Red Alert? Because they ended up shortening it from read to red. We're Star Trek fans. We're always going to nitpick about something.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, I think they called it a tactical, or if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So I mean that works. That's a tactical alert, and he's the tactical officer. I mean, like I said before, like that's why I liked Reed. He represented a tactical officer. He did all the things. He could, you see him in the armory, zeroing rifle scopes and calibrating weapons. Like, that is a tactical officer, right? I mean, Worf does it too. I know he's done phaser calibration. I think there's an episode you see him doing some kind of work like that. But you always see Lieutenant Reed's hands in the machine doing the things that are necessary. And I mean, that's another thing I liked about early in the series, actually, was like, I maybe didn't truly appreciate the first time I watched it. I mean, I kind of think I did, but like I said, I found those early episodes to be slow, but there was those times where they're up against something and they're way over way over their heads, and they upgrade their weapons and they're still in over their heads. So they're like, okay, we need torpedoes now. Oh, I'm sorry, we need phase cannons now. And then finally, they even then they're still in over their heads. So like, okay, we need to overload the phase cannons. All right, I think we got it this time. It's like, they didn't make anything come too easily. The only thing that they made easy was the transporter, but that's fair because when you have a show where they spend decades riding with a transporter, it's really hard to, like, think of ways to not have one. So in fairness, like, a one-man transporter occasionally being used for 3 people or 2 people and a little bit of cargo.
When the transporter, when we're introduced to it, in the first episode of Enterprise, Broken Bow, they say it's mainly used for transporting cargo. And they do ask the question, could we beam a person? Yeah, but I wouldn't want my molecules scrambled.
The old Dr. McCoy statement.
And Anonymous says, I love some of the tech-like weapons got upgraded out of dire necessity. Yeah. Well, just like in Deep Space Nine when they started the Dominion War arc. The ship's hulls had to be upgraded. The weapons had to be upgraded. The shields had to be upgraded. Starfleet procedures in general had to be upgraded at the time, just like early Starfleet's procedures had to be upgraded. The more encounters they had with the Klingons, when they started encountering the Romulans, yeah, they didn't see them face to face, but they encountered the Romulans and also dealing with the Xindi. But is there anything else you want to say about Enterprise or this episode, DJ?
Well, as far as this episode goes, I mean, like it covered 2 subplots or covered one plot and one subplot basically. You had T'Pol's addiction narrative. You had the moral quandary, which is why I picked it, was because that just you don't see a lot of Starfleet captains stealing parts from somewhat friendly ships, but under the circumstances, it's not like he didn't do it for wanton destruction. He didn't do it because he found it to be a good idea. He found it morally reprehensible the whole time, and that's the thing. Like, Archer is a good captain because he understood that he had a job. He's probably the only guy. For once, he's the only guy who could actually get the job done. I mean, I know we always say this in Star Trek, you're the only ship in the sector, but in this case, he's literally the only ship in the sector, like human ship serving our interest. So, yeah, I mean, basically, I enjoyed the episode. Glad I picked it. Glad I was able to join you. Thanks for having me. And although Reggie didn't speak much, he is wearing his Starfleet. You can see he's wearing his Enterprise patch on his left arm.
Yes, he is. And I appreciate you taking the time out of your Saturday evening to join me for this episode. And I really want to get to what Shane's saying here as well, where he says, well, the Vulcans were well aware that they were sending the Enterprise entirely undershielded and armed. I have a fan theory. They wanted the Klingons to scare humans running back to Earth. And the thing is, there's Shane, even in Broken Bow, the Vulcans who are there on Earth say, you're not ready for what's out there yet. And it's Archer who's insistent on going out because he believes that the Vulcans have been holding humans back.
That was an interesting dichotomy. I think it was Sternbach. Vic Sternbach. I think I saw him on Trek Yards, and he likened the early part of Enterprise sort of like having the relatives come over, the in-laws come over, and they don't leave. And that was kind of like the Vulcans.
Yeah. Ever since First Contact, the Vulcans have been there, and they've been telling humans, no, you can't do this, you can't do that, no, you got to stay on this side of the fence. You can't go on that side of the fence. Don't go into the neighbor's yard. Don't go poking around. Hey, human, what are you doing over there? Get back over here.
Be a good puppy.
Yeah, pretty much.
And in fairness, I mean, like, one thing that I liked about additional point I would give, or one of the point I would give is, initially, yeah, we see the Vulcans as being these overbearing elitists, but in the middle of the series, they do show there's some political strife on Vulcan with the Sirenites and, like, even outright, people doing harmful stuff to groups of people in public places, like at Starfleet headquarters, and that's how we lose Ambassador Soval, and even
played by the
Soval
late Gary Graham.
Yep, and loved him on Alien Nation, liked him on Enterprise. He was a great ambassador. I think he even did a fan film or two as an ambassador, Soval.
Yeah, he did.
And it was like he had some nice words for Archer, but overall, like, it showed that the Vulcans, they were still on their journey. Like, yeah, they were a spacefaring civilization. They had some technology, but it's like there's apparently, they don't spell it out, but, you see that Starfleet is as much a Vulcan institution as it is a human institution. Like, at least it appears to be rather human-centric. I'm not saying humans are the only people there. I know sometimes it's just easier to do your set design, perhaps to have ships that are more alien or ships that have more alien facilities on board, although clearly the Enterprise D has every species or many species on it, including some whales. But but it maybe does go a long way to explain why did, Vulcan become so Starfleet-centric. They're not necessarily second fiddle to us, but, at a glance, it's like they are part of the Federation, and they have their own ships, but you can see when they're doing real stuff like, exploration and, political stuff, they're on a Starfleet ship by the time we get to, like, later in the timeline. And perhaps some of that was due to the political strife. Once they got rid of their, the group that was really opposed to certain types of change, the groups that, because I mean, it's not typical Vulcans. I think the whole point of the whole purge, the whole thing that Surak did in the old days, like in the book Spock's World, is like not let emotions rule us, because they understood that they are a powerful species, and if their emotions rule them, they're gonna probably be very self-destructive. And yet, turns out some of those people apparently were still running their country, or some people had that mindset where they thought they were doing something for the greater good, and they're basically putting them back on a self-destructive path. So I don't know. I think it worked out. Them becoming friends with us, it clearly one hand washed the other. They barely helped us out in the beginning, maybe, but they were still kind of helpful and friendly, you know. But by the time we get to the end of Enterprise, they kind of resolve some of their political issues so that the Vulcans can kind of move forward and join us as we, you know, step forward into the rest of the 23rd, 22nd century.
Yeah, and that's very true. And then, of course, something that you mentioned, you know, the teachings of Sirach to help control their emotions. Because they were able to help control their emotions, they didn't become what the Romulans became.
Yep, exactly. And honestly, it's a miracle that the Romulans ended up as well off as they did. I mean, it could have gotten ugly for them. Maybe it was ugly for them for a little while.
Mm-hmm. That's a history I wouldn't mind a Star Trek series actually exploring. What it was like for the Romulans after they left Vulcan.
Yeah, I imagine it wasn't all smooth sailing. But I mean, you can see by the time we get to Next Generation, the Romulans, even in TOS, they are cool headed. I wouldn't say they're hot heads. So they had to come up with some way of managing their emotions. Maybe that was natural selection. Maybe the crazy Vulcans died off, and the good one, maybe the Romulans that we see that evolved from that are the ones who could handle the emotions better.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, all very interesting. Glad we covered Enterprise today because, you know, it's good to give a little love to Enterprise. I think they gave it a real good effort. I don't really have any complaints about the episode, and it's like the newest Star Trek you could watch, and it actually looks really good. It really holds up today.
Yeah, I mean, considering the CGI used in the series, you know, is considered dated by today's standard, but the sad thing is it looks better than a lot of today's CGI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they seem to pull all stops, or at least they gave it a good effort. They seem to get basic lighting down right, which apparently is something that's lacking in some of the newer movies.
Mm-hmm. Now, I do have a question for you, or Shane, for Anonymous, and anyone else who might be listening and lurking. Would you like to come back in a couple of weeks and watch and discuss Emissary, Deep Space Nine's pilot episode?
Ooh, why not? Why not? Absolutely, Mike.
All right. But again, DJ, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate everybody who took the time to stop by and watch the episode. If you weren't able to watch the episode, join us in a couple of weeks. And also, I want to also double check with you too, because in a couple of weeks, the show will be starting at 6 p.m. Eastern time. That'll be on the 17th.
Okay.
Of January.
The 17th, yeah. I'm clear on that day. That's Saturday, 17th. Yep. And it's just a matter of me like not taking my nap at 5 p.m. like I did today. But that's easy. I shouldn't have stayed up till 6:30 a.m. last night anyway.
Sometimes we do that, brother. But beginning on January 17th, that's when all streams will be starting at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Doesn't matter if it's on YouTube, doesn't matter if it's on Rumble or wherever else I decide to stream for that week. All streams are going to be at 6 p.m. Eastern time.
It's basically same time you do Pop Talk at 7-ish on Wednesdays.
Yeah, because, you know, I've been thinking about this for a while. It needs to be more consistent and more cohesive, in my opinion, as far as the start times are concerned. Instead of having, you know, Pop Talk started at 1 p.m. Eastern time on a Sunday, or, you know, like The Adventure Continues, 8 p.m. Eastern on a Saturday. And for a period of time, I was doing game streams at 5 p.m. Eastern. All the streams need to start at one time and, you know, make it easier on folks. And Anonymous says, I will if I'm not tied up. Awesome. And yes, Lady Mist, 6 p.m. Eastern time, starting January 17th. And Shane, please let me know if you think you might be able to make that. If not, I will keep in mind for another time for you to come on, brother. Another date and another episode. But everybody, thank you very much. I do want to take the time. Yes. 5 Central. 5 Central, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. That would be 3 p.m. Pacific Time.
414.
Yes. But everybody, thank you very much. Of course, DJ, again, thank you for coming on. And if you want, please go ahead and promote yourself.
I promote myself to the Commissioner of IT for the City of New York because that gets me a big salary. Now, but jokes aside, I do a show. It's called The Monday Show on Thursday. I've been running it on Thursdays far longer than I've been running it on Mondays, but yet we stick with the name because why not? And right now, I still got to renew my Vstream. I decided to hold off on that because apparently I don't absolutely need it anymore because they let me just do 1080p at 60 for free. But I'm probably going to renew it at some point because I don't want to have that Vstream logo in the corner. But y'all can check out my channel here. These are my most recent live streams if you want to see the Monday show. Oh, that's not the link. This is the link here. These are my most recent Monday shows, but I'm going to drop... Oh, good, you already dropped the link. That's perfect. But I will drop one video... Well, do I want to drop one video link? I have a new...
Yeah, go ahead and drop any links that you want. You're a mod.
Well, I'm going to drop maybe... I'll drop definitely... Okay, the most recent one is my Japanese anime. That's right, I got my own... It's not really. I just made an AI video, and it's a play on words. So actually, I'll show you the picture that exemplifies this. But the name of the... cartoon is called Fan Service. It's like a little teaser trailer for my fake anime, so to speak. Now, where did I save the picture is the question. Let's see if
I'm going to go ahead and click on the link.
I think I saved it from Grok.
Check this out.
Because I have like one, I would just go to grok.com and find the picture. That's what I would do. Yeah, that'll be easier. So basically, it's like it's about a girl who's an HVAC repair technician for a company called Fan Service. But for anybody who watches anime, you know that fan service also means like when you have an anime with a character who's like really hot, or they have an episode where like all of the characters go to the beach. That's by definition what fan service is basically. So with that, now I'm just gonna find the picture. Go into my Grok history to find the time I drew the picture. Let's see, is it on Grok or ChatGPT?
Oh, so it's basically taking an animated character and depositing that animated character into what would be the real world.
Yep, here we go. So right here, so this is the general idea. So the name of the company is Fan Service HVAC Repair, and then you got a girl dressed up like in the style of an anime girl giving fan service. Wait, my hands were over my head. You guys can't see my camera. Giving fan service, and she's all cute and shit, which actually I think is a cute picture. But yeah, that's what she is. She's an HVAC repair technician. It looks like I'm looking at portrait mode right now. It's cropped, so I'm going to scroll that over to the side so you guys can all see that. So yeah, that's the repair van. And then what happened was while I was using Grok, it accidentally generated a video of the girl on the side of the van being animated. So I was like, wait a second, why don't I tell it in the instructions to have her enter from outside the frame and enter the vehicle? So she does, and boom, before you know it, I basically just string multiple clips together into one cohesive thing. I don't know if I'll ever revisit this and make something longer, like a more complete, like, maybe episode or something like that. But I feel like, there's possibilities. Like, yeah, it's a play on words. Yeah, I accidentally got her to wear garter belts. I mean, first time it generated garter belts by accident. After that, every prompt is like garter belts. But that shit's hilarious. I amuse myself, and I want to amuse you guys too. So hope you guys enjoy that. And if not, I got a ton of other things. The short right before this one might be more to your liking. So with that being said, that is me promoting myself. Thanks, Mike.
Not a problem. Not a problem. And again, thank you very much for being here. Of course, no show goes without those who support it, like yourself. And so again, thank you very much, DJ. Of course, the Admiral herself, Lady Mist. We also have Anonymous. Anonymous. Also, Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective. Thank you very much.
PW.
And of course, she's known as Royal PETA over here on YouTube, but I know her as Helion over on Rumble. Good to see you, Helion. And also Shane, also known as Yoron. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in to tonight's episode. Again, 2 weeks from tonight, we will be starting at 6 p.m. Eastern, and we'll be watching Star Trek Deep Space Nine's first episode, Emissary, which premiered some, wow, hard to believe, DJ, but 33 years ago, that episode premiered this month. Today.
What? That episode
Yes.
33 years ago? Bullshit.
I'm not bullshitting you.
Enterprise? Wait, which episode?
No, Deep Space Nine.
Oh, thank God. Okay, I thought you were talking about the Enterprise.
No. Enterprise premiered 25 years ago.
I thought I turned 50. I was like, oh my God, am I 50 today?
No.
There's nothing wrong with being 50.
No.
I just thought I was 39, so I was a little worried for a second that my memory was really messed up.
No. 33 years ago today, Deep Space Nine premiered. 25 years ago, Enterprise premiered.
Okay, that's more in line with my expectations.
Yeah. Even Anonymous was like, what the crap? But again, everybody, thank you very much. And I hope to see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. And we only have one more Pop Talk on a Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern after tomorrow's, which will be January 11th. But tomorrow, join us for Pacific Forum for Pop Talk, and we'll be talking about movie theaters and what will be happening with them in the near future, because this past year in 2025 was not a good year for movie theaters at all. So we'll take a look at this article from Variety. We'll go through it. We'll opine on it. And I also have a save page that has maybe not all the releases that are coming out for 2026, but it has a good majority of 2026 theatrical releases that will be coming out this year. So we'll take a look at them and see, are any of these movies going to actually draw people to the theaters? Because the box office sucks. But that'll happen tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday on YouTube and Rumble. I'll be playing more Mafia. Then we'll have the Wednesday edition of Pop Talk at 6 p.m. Eastern time on YouTube and Rumble. And then at 6 p.m. Eastern on both YouTube and Rumble for Thursday, I'll be playing more of Shinobi Art of Vengeance. So that's what's coming up for the rest of this week. And until then, everybody, appreciate your support. If you like what you saw, please make sure you hit that like button, share out the stream, and consider following or subscribing to the channel. And until next time, live long and prosper.